I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually stop a second before you answer it. If you could help one woman, just one, who would she be? I'm not asking for a category, not professional women or Latinas or moms who work full-time. I want a woman, specific, real. Someone you can actually see in your mind right now. What does she do on a Tuesday morning? What is the thing that she carries to work that nobody there knows about? What has she tried that has not worked? What does she want so badly that she's almost embarrassed to say it out loud? Can you see her? Because here's what I've learned in over 20 years of building digital businesses and teaching other women to do the same. The women who build something that works, the ones who make real income, who reach real people, who wake up on a Monday morning and feel like what they do matters, are not the ones with the most followers or the best website or the most polished brand. They are the ones who can answer this question specifically, clearly, without hesitating. They know exactly who she is, and she knows, she feels, and she is being spoken to directly. If you don't know your who, today we're going to find her. Welcome to Freedom to Follow. I'm Salime. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm your digital business mentor for missions. I've spent over 20 years building digital businesses, and I'm here to save you from all the mistakes and all the headaches and hand you all the frameworks and the hacks and the blueprints to start building your digital business today. Everything we talk about comes with a free practical exercise waiting for you at latinpreneurs.com/the vault. Today's exercise is one that I consider the foundation of everything. I will tell you exactly what it is in a couple of minutes. If you've been with us since episode 1, you've named the feeling, you found your skills, you found your hidden hours, then today we're going to take the next step. Today, we are going to find your who. Let me tell you something that I got wrong for a long, long time. When I was working in China, I was working for a lot of people. This was before Reformadas, before Latinpreneurs, before this podcast. There was this other business. For years, I was helping Latin American companies do business in China. And when I said helped, I meant helped. This was not consulting from a coffee shop in Mexico with my laptop. No. This was going to factories in Guangdong at 7 in the morning, or sitting across a negotiation table from a supplier in Yiwu, obviously speaking Mandarin, while the business owner from Latin America was waiting outside, understanding absolutely nothing, trusting me completely with something that represented months of his company's cash flow. This was walking production floors in Shenzhen, touching the fabric, checking the seams, looking for the defects that the supplier would swear did not exist. I was writing negotiation frameworks, supplier evaluation checklist, cheat sheets so that you would not look like a tourist on your first meeting with a Chinese partner. I lived inside that world. I knew it from the inside out. And when I decided to package this knowledge into digital products and services like guides, consulting programs, factory tours, quality controls, negotiation support, I started with a very broad who: Latin American companies that want to do business in China. That was literally my who. And a lot of people came. That was a problem. The wrong people came. People who thought that China sounded like, ooh, a very interesting idea, but had never exported anything in their lives. People who wanted to pick my brain for free on a long call and then disappear forever. People who had a product they wanted to manufacture but lacked distribution channels in their home market. They had no logistics, no infrastructure, no established business, just literally enthusiasm and a very big dream. These were people who were not ready. People I could not actually help because they didn't have the foundation that I needed. And I was taking all these calls. I was answering those emails and spending real hours with people who were never going to become real clients because they were not the right clients. Now, they were not bad people, not like wrong in general. They were just wrong for what I actually did and what I was actually good at. And my real clients, the one who I could help genuinely, the ones who had the problems that I could solve for, the ones who left a conversation with me having saved money or avoiding a real disaster, they were drowning in the noise of everyone else. And one night, I remember being in my apartment in Beijing. It was around 10 at night, and I had spent a whole day outside the city in a factory. I was so tired because I've been on the production floor for 8 hours, month after month after month, and I sat down and asked myself a question. It was not what content should I create or what does my audience want. I asked, who is the company that I actually do my work, my best work for? Not everybody I could help technically. The one who I was built to help, the one with that where my specific knowledge or my specific experience or my specific presence in China would actually get real results that nobody else could produce for them. And I pushed myself past Latin American companies, way past it. I started to describe them out loud, like they were sitting across the table from me. It was a mid-sized company, not a startup with a dream and not a corporation with a full sourcing department. It was an established medium business, one that already had distribution channels at home, one that had logistics infrastructure, that was selling, already operating, already knowing how to run a business, but who wanted to go to China and knew enough to know that they could not do this alone. Now, for me, this company was in Mexico or Colombia or Peru or Chile or Spain, and they manufacture something or source something like garments or processed food or cosmetics, and they were already doing really well in their home market. They had already won there, but someone, maybe at a trade show or in an article or in a conversation with a business partner, planted the idea that they could cut their production costs and find better suppliers in China. And now they were super excited, but also terrified at the same time because they couldn't speak Mandarin. They did not know anyone in China. They did not know if the suppliers that they found at Alibaba were legitimate or they were going to disappear with their deposit. They did not know what questions to ask in their first meeting or the price, if they were being quoted the real price or the tourist price. They didn't know how long the import process was actually going to take. They didn't know how to do a quality control. They did not know anything about China, but they knew everything about their own business. They had the infrastructure, the distribution, logistics, relationships at home. They just literally needed someone who knew the other side. And that's where I lived. This was the gap that I was built to close. Now, the more specific I got about who they were, the better my work became. Not just my marketing, my actual work. Because when I knew exactly who I was talking to, who I was walking into a factory for, I knew exactly what to look for. When I knew exactly who I was negotiating for, I knew exactly what mattered to them and what they could not afford to get wrong. When I knew exactly who I was writing a guide for, I knew exactly what questions they were too embarrassed to ask out loud. That specificity did not just attract a better client, it made me better at serving them. The results got sharper, the transformations got clearer. The referrals got easier because my clients could describe exactly who else needed me. And the wrong clients stopped coming. And it was not because I was turning them away at first, but it was because the language I used, the problems I named, the situations I described were so specific to that one type of company that someone who did not match that description read my words and thought, well, that's not me. And then they moved on, which was exactly what I wanted them to do, because I could not do my best work for them anyway. So I want you to hear this clearly. My knowledge did not change. My experience did not change. The company I was building for, the company I was best positioned to help, changed. And when that changed, everything, the quality of my clients, the quality of my results, and the quality of my work changed too. I call this the who. Every digital business that works, every course that sells, every program that transforms people, every piece of content that stops someone mid-scroll and makes her think, oh, that is me, does not start with a product. It starts with a person. The who is the one woman your business exists to serve. It's not a demographic, not a target market. It is a human being with a specific situation, a specific frustration, a specific dream or need that you can help out. And I need you to hear something that might feel counterintuitive right now. Getting specific about who you serve does not shrink your audience. It actually increases it. When you speak to everyone, no one feels like you're talking to them. When you speak to her specifically, precisely in the language of her exact situation, she will stop and listen, and she will share. She will come back. And the women who are close to her situation but are not exactly them, they will still feel seen, because this specificity will create resonance, not walls. But you were not made to serve everyone. You are made to serve someone. And finding her is not a marketing exercise. It is a stewardship exercise, because God did not make you general. He made you particular, specific. With your story and background and language and moons and season, none of them being random. They have been preparation. They have been equipping you, pointing you towards that person who needs exactly what you have. And I went to find her today. There are 3 things I want to give you today. 3 things that will help you build the clearest, most specific picture of your who that you've ever had. The first thing, your who cannot be invented. Here's what I see women do when they sit down and think about who they want to serve. They try to build her from scratch. They think, well, what's a good niche? Well, what is trending? Who has actual money to spend? And then they construct someone out of a market research and guesswork. And it results in a fictitious character, a demographic, a spreadsheet, not actually a real person. Your who cannot be invented. It has to be remembered. She is someone you have seen or someone you are watching right now, or someone who comes to mind immediately when you think about the skill you identified in episode 2. She is the version of a person you know from the inside out. So think about it right now. That skill that you have, that's going to be the base of your digital business. That thing that you know that other people struggle with. Who also struggles with it? Who was you before you figured this out? Who is in the middle of exact the same thing that you've already walked through? Because she's not a stranger. She's a woman in your life, in your past, in your memory. And that proximity, that intimacy you already have with her situation is your greatest advantage. You do not have to guess what she is feeling, because you already know it. You already lived it. You already watched it. Or you're sitting across from it every single day. Start there. Start with who you already know. Now, the second thing is get specific enough that it feels almost too narrow. When you first try to name your who, you are going to land in something very broad, something that feels generous and inclusive, something like, I want to help professional women find their purpose. Like, what does that even mean? But anyway, or I want to help Latina entrepreneurs build their businesses. And I genuinely understand the impulse. You don't want to leave anyone out. Your heart is very big. You're a Latina, obviously. The need is everywhere. But here's what happens when you stay too broad. Nobody feels like you're talking to them specifically. The woman who is a first-generation college graduate working in corporate finance, raising 2 kids mostly alone because her husband travels, going to church every Sunday, and feeling like her faith and her ambition are at constant war with each other. When she sees professional woman, she probably thinks, oh, that doesn't sound like me. That's someone who has everything more together. But if you say first generation Latina professionals who have these specific studies and feel like something is missing, then they stop, because that is her sentence. That is the thing she has never heard anyone else say out loud. Specificity, it's not exclusion. It is recognition. And recognition is the most powerful thing you can offer someone who has spent years feeling invisible in the spaces they work so hard to enter. So push past that comfortable, broad version. Get to the real one, the one that feels almost too specific. that is actually usually the right one. The third thing, she has a before and an after. Your who is not defined by who she is today. She is defined by where she is going. There is a before version of her. This is the woman who finds you. She is stuck, frustrated. She has tried a lot of things that have not worked. She is carrying something that is so heavy and feels heavier than it should now. This is the woman who your content speaks to. This is a woman who feels seen when she listens to you. But there's an after version of her. This is the woman she becomes when she gets what you teach. She has moved through the things. She has the skill now, the framework, the transformation. She is on the other side and she is freer. Your entire business lives in the distance between those two versions of her. Your content speaks to her before, your product gets her to the after. Your testimonials show to her that the after is real and possible for someone exactly like her. So, when you build your persona portrait today, and I'm going to tell you exactly how in just a minute, I want you to describe both. Describe her before and describe the after. Write them both down until you can see the difference between them. Because again, the distance between her before and her after is what you can help solve. That's your business. That's your road. Okay, now I want to tell you about a student. Her name is Gabriela. Gabriela came to me with a background in special education. She had 12 years in the classroom. She had spent her whole career learning how to teach kids that the traditional system had written off, like kids with learning differences, kids who processed differently, kids who were smart in ways that standardized tests could not measure. When she came up with me, she said, I want to help parents of kids with learning challenges. That was her who. But I asked her to go deeper. Like, which parents? In what situation? At what moment in their journey? Now, the first thing that Gabriela did was resist. She resisted. She said that if she got too specific, she would run out of people to reach, to teach. She would run out of market. But we did this exercise anyway. And here's what she found when she got really, really honest about who she actually knew and who was she actually equipped to serve the best. Her real who was actually the mom who had just received her child's diagnosis. Not the mom that had been navigating the system for years, the mom in the first 90 days, super vulnerable, super overwhelmed, grieving a little, that was just so confused. She didn't know what question to ask. She didn't know what the school was required to provide. She didn't know what to fight for. And she felt so alone in a meeting room full of professionals who spoke a language she literally did not understand. Now, Gabriela knew that moment, like from the inside out. She had been across the table from that mom hundreds of times. She knew every question that this mom was too scared to ask. She knew every right that this mom had and she didn't know she had. When Gabriela got really specific, she stopped trying to create content for parents with kids with learning challenges. And she started creating content for that specific mom, the one in the first 90 days, the one in that meeting room with within 60, like in that meeting room, super overwhelmed. And within 60 days, she had more engagement than she had had in a year of being too broad, because this mom, the real specific terrified mom in that meeting room, finally felt like someone was talking to her. Your who, you know the who. Just have to be willing to name her and make sure that she is not too broad, she is narrow. Now, I made something for you for this. It is called the Persona Portrait, and it's waiting for you right now for free at latinpreneurs.com/the vault. And here's what it's going to do. It's going to walk you through building your own who from scratch. It's just one page, and it will start with her basics, her age, her situation, her daily life. But it will ask you to go deeper, like, what are the problems that she's carrying that she has not shared with anyone? What has she tried but failed with? What does she tell herself every morning where she can sleep? Or what does she want so badly that she hasn't said out loud? And then it's going to ask you about her before and after. Who is she when she gets what you teach? What is different? What does she say to someone who asks, how did that change? All you have to do is fill it out and you'll have your real person, your real who. Now, it's not going to be a target market, it's going to be your human being. You will give a name that you choose with a life that you can describe and a before and after that you can actually help. So this is not just another piece of homework. This is literally the foundation of everything you will build. Every product, every piece of content, every email, every conversation, it will flow from this page. So go right now to latinpreneurs.com/the vault and download the persona portrait. Do it this week before episode 5 drops, because next week we will go directly to the next step and you will need this persona to continue. You cannot do episode 5 without what you find right here. So go to latinpreneurs.com/the vault and download it right now. Now I want to leave you with something before I let you go. The reason that I do this, the podcast, Latinpreneurs, the vault, all of this, it's not because I actually love content or I had a gap in my schedule. It's because I truly believe that there are Christian Latino men and women in this planet who have a specific assignment from God, not to help people, but to help someone. They have a specific problem to solve, a specific transformation they can deliver like nobody else can. And I believe that when those men and women have economic freedom, when their income is not owned by a schedule that somebody else controls or dictates, they will become fully available to the Lord. They will say yes when He calls them out. They will be generous and give without having to calculate. They will serve without holding back. They will be completely all in with the Lord. That is why I am building towards not a podcast or a platform. I really want to see a generation of Latinos, men and women who are so economically free that nothing, no job, no boss, no paycheck, no fear can stand between them and their obedience to God. But it starts here with one person, your person. She's already in your life. She's already in your story. She is waiting, maybe without knowing she is waiting for someone to build something specifically for her. Something that speaks her language, something that names exactly her problem. Someone that has clearly been there too. You're the one who builds that. Nobody else can. You need to do it right now. And I want to ask you something else. Share this with someone that needs this, because again, I believe that the Lord will give enough men and women, Latinos, Christian men and women, economic freedom so that they can go therefore and make disciples, go therefore wherever it is that the Lord calls them. And this is not going to happen alone. I need you. I need you to share this episode, this podcast, this platform, Latinpreneurs, with someone, just one person. So please do me this favor and find your own person. Go to latinpreneurs.com/the vault, download the persona portrait. It will take you 15-20 minutes and you will build this person, which will be the thing that will catapult you to solving a problem, creating your digital business. Next week, I'm going to help you find the one problem you were made to solve, because knowing your who is the first half. And the next week, we will find out the second half. You don't want to miss it. So do your homework. I'll see you next week. My name is Alime, and this is Freedom to Follow. Goodbye.